From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 9 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for the MTN 9 o'clock news. I'm Russ Riesinger. Tonight, the Electoral College has confirmed Joe Biden is the winner of the presidential election and will be our next president. The Electoral College cementing Biden's win as each state's electors cast their votes. California's 55 electoral votes officially putting Biden over the needed 270. He ended up with 306 electoral votes compared to President Trump's 232. Congress will meet on January 6th in a joint session to formally accept the results. President Trump is still refusing to concede or give up. Montana's 3 electors met this afternoon at the state capitol in Helena to cast their votes for President Trump, who won our state. And like most electoral vote casting that occurred across the country, it carried forth without incident. The electors, Becky Stockton of Helena and Thelma Baker and State Representative Brad Cheetah, both of Missoula, met in a committee room on the ground floor of the Capitol. Chosen by the state Republican Party, they cast their votes for President Trump, who won Montana over Joe Biden by 16 percentage points. Once the votes were cast, the electors signed certificates that are forwarded to the President of the U.S. Senate, the state's chief federal judge, the National Archives, and Montana Secretary of State Corey Stapleton. Only a half dozen members of the public were in the room, mostly friends and family members of the electors. Stapleton presided over the ceremony and thanked Montana's voters and election officials for conducting what he called a fair, accurate, and open election. He also offered a brief history lesson on why the constitutional framers agreed on the Electoral College instead of a popular vote to decide the presidency. Then later, Cheetah announced Montana's vote.
If a candidate was required to win states instead of just popular votes, however, it would be more likely that he would have wide-ranging support outside his home state. This was a concern for smaller states that feared the domination of the presidency by states with larger populations.
Montana's choice for president is Donald J. Trump, and for vice president, it is Michael R. Pence.
A Democrat has not won Montana's electoral vote since 1992, when Bill Clinton prevailed here in the state. More details tonight surrounding the murder of a 17-year-old girl shot to death at a home on Wyoming Avenue roughly a week ago. Prosecutors say a 17-year-old boy admitted to police at the scene that night that he killed the girl at a house party. The teen is now facing felony deliberate homicide charges that could land him life in prison if convicted. The shooting happened December 6th in the 800 block of Wyoming Avenue. In court documents, officers said when they arrived at the house, the 17-year-old suspect asked to be placed in handcuffs and told officers several times, quote, "I killed her." The female victim was found dead in a bedroom with a gunshot wound to the head from a .45 caliber pistol. There was also a backpack with multiple pistol magazines at the scene. Witnesses told police the shooting happened when a group of people were hanging out and drinking in the home. Those there told police some members of the group were messing around with the pistol throughout the night. At one point, they say the defendant pointed the pistol at the victim. When she jokingly told the defendant he would not shoot her, he did. And witnesses said the victim fell to the floor. Police say that gun used was also stolen. Well, the first shipments of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine have arrived here in the Treasure State. St. Vincent Healthcare in Billings confirmed they've received their initial allotment of 975 doses this morning. They'll begin vaccinating frontline workers tomorrow. Now, this is some footage from St. Vincent this morning. You can see Tech Shane Anderson here opening the box, removing a top layer of dry ice needed to keep the vaccine at a low enough temperature during transport. Then Anderson removes one of 5 cases of vials, transfers them to an ultra-cold freezer that St. Vincent recently purchased for the purpose. The hospital plans to hold a clinic at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon to begin administering the first doses to frontline staff. That's in accordance with state and federal guidelines. Well, Q2's Casey Conlon spoke to St. V's Chief Medical Officer Michael Bush earlier today about the next steps in this groundbreaking process.
Did you expect the vaccine to arrive at your facility this quickly?
To be honest with you, if you went back a month or so, I would have said this was way quicker than I expected. And then for us to get it at 8 o'clock this morning was even earlier than I expected it, although I knew we were getting it this week.
You're going to start the vaccination process tomorrow with your frontline healthcare workers. Is that correct?
Correct. We'll be starting with those people that are actively taking care of COVID patients or in and out of the COVID room, such as our environmental services people and the emergency department, the ICU, et cetera. But they will be first people up to receive the vaccine. But given the quantity of vaccine we have, we'll rapidly move into our tier 2 distribution list.
Is that just first doses, or does that also include the second doses, which are supposed to be given 21 days later?
So this is the first dose, and the state is guaranteed that those that we give the first dose to will get the second dose at the appropriate time.
There's been much talk around the country about significant pushback from those who say they're not comfortable with taking the vaccine at this point. Can you speak to that specifically with your healthcare working force at first? Do you believe most will be amenable to taking the vaccine?
So I believe that we indeed will have a majority that will take the vaccine. I will be first in line when my name is called, so I'll be there.
Well, we wish you the best of luck tomorrow. Can you put into words what tomorrow will be like as a day for you?
Exciting, relief, and maybe we can see the other side of this downhill kind of trajectory from the pandemic.
St. Vincent released this statement saying ultimately our goal will be to vaccinate as many of our healthcare workers as possible. And because we anticipate our initial quantities of the vaccine will be limited, our initial efforts, as directed by state and federal authorities, will primarily focus on vaccinating our frontline staff to ensure our healthcare providers can continue to serve and provide care to our patients. As for today's updated case numbers, the Department of Public Health and Human Services performed an upgrade of the statewide communicable disease reporting system yesterday and required to be shut down all day. So we will not be able to provide an accurate picture. We can report 2 more deaths in Bighorn County, bringing the total there to 57. Bighorn County also reports 4 new cases, bringing their active total to 142. Dawson County also saw 2 more deaths today. Still ahead on the MTN 9 o'clock news here on the CW, from the football field to war zones. We'll meet a newly turned centenarian who is still going strong, and he has quite the story to tell. But first, some nicer weather may not be too far away. Bob's in next with your full 7-day forecast.